Hello, my friends, and welcome back to part two with NightSteak over fungi, mushrooms, and theories incorporating the fungi, mushrooms, in Minecraft. And I am your host, the Dark Lord, the one who puts the real in realm and expands your mind one block at a time. I want to welcome you back, NightSteak. I know we're shooting this all in one day, but to our audience, they think that this is a week later. But we're recording this all in one day, folks. So welcome back. And we left off last week with the mushroom. We were talking about, geez, what did we all talk about? We talked about your foraging experience with mushrooms. That was
Oh yeah,
extremely fascinating.
started off there.
Um, Start off, yeah, with in the real with your experience of hunting for mushrooms and how what you do with them, which was fascinating. And then we touched base on mushrooms and fungi in Minecraft vanilla, starting with overworld mushrooms, which are the red mushrooms, brown mushrooms. We talked a little bit about the mushroom stew. Then we dived into the giant mushrooms and theorized on that pod soul. And then we touched base on the mushroom field biomes, including the mycelium block, the mushroom. And now, today, we are entering the nether, which there's a lot of fungi there and the mushrooms there. And I want to start off with the crimson fungus. Um, what let's just read off this crimson fungus first. This is a reddish pink fungus and it grows in the nether, particularly in the crimson forest biomes. If you have all been there, you would it's very distinct. It's a beautiful, actually I really love the aesthetics of that biome. I really do. um its uses, it can be used to grow large crimson fungi or as an ingredient. And then we'll dive into the warp fungus. But first, well, actually, let me read off that too. Warp fungus, this is the blue green fungus, which is found in the nether as well. It's kind of, it's, there's these two, the crimson and warped, and it's primarily in the warp forest biome, which makes sense. And these can be used for bone mealing, which, um, which can be bone meal to grow into large warp fungi and is used in various crafting recipes. So, are you very familiar with the crimson fungus and warp fungus, NightSteak?
I'm gonna be honest. Like I know a lot of Minecraft stuff, like the history and the textures and whatnot, but I don't have that much personal experience with them myself because the server I've been playing on for the past 4 years now is still on 1.12.2, which is an older version, pre-Nether update.
Very
So
old.
yeah, and I don't play any Minecraft outside of that, really. So I haven't interacted with this update for quite a while now. So I did play it at one point, and I did enjoy it. Like I do think the Nether update is still my favorite update just because of how much they added. But I still have a hard time like remembering all of it. So I'm not too familiar with it, but I've done a lot of research into it. So that's what we're going off of.
Interesting. So, do you have any thoughts on the crimson fungus, warp fungus?
So I think it makes a lot of sense that they have their own specific biomes. I mean, obviously, it looks better that way, but also it makes sense because mycelium, like you were saying in the last week's episode, mycelium is like one giant organism. So the mushroom field biomes or the mushroom islands, as they're called in the older versions, they're like a one singular connected root network of mycelium, and the same thing's going on in the nether. So these mushrooms, either the warped or the crimson, they take over these areas and they convert like pretty much all of the surface into mycelium or hyphae or whatever. And hyphae, which is what it's called when it's in its giant form and it's harvested, it's a warped or crimson hyphae, and hyphae refers to the individual strands of mycelium. So maybe these are like just like giant like strands of mycelium that just grew way too big. But I think there's one like a unique name for it that was different from the overworld mushrooms because outside of that they do function like pretty similar to overworld mushrooms. Although it's clear that they don't like need any moisture, and like I don't think that there's any moisture involved whatsoever in the process of growing them, because as you see, like when you collect them, it's a wood like substance, like it's like that hard. And
Mhm.
I don't think it, I mean, yeah, like we can grow mushrooms, and you can make those mushrooms giants, so it's not like they're dehydrating or anything. They're dehydrated from the start, so they definitely differ from overworld mushrooms in that. um, but like I do think that aside from that, they're pretty similar.
Interesting. Now, aren't piglins afraid of? Is it the warp fungus? I can't remember.
It is the warped fungus, and
Yeah.
it's the hoglins will I think run away from it if they're within like 4 blocks or something like that. So it's like if they
Mm.
get close to it, they'll run away. But that could also be, and I believe it's been said before, but I don't know if this is like the official explanation, that it's just like the smell of it disgusts them. But there's something about it
Oh.
that they really don't like. And however, on the other hand, it's the crimson fungus, which they love, and that's what they use to be bred, and that's presumably what they'd be eating, and what they'd be subsisting off of, unless they're eating the piglins that they maul. But I don't know if they get that brutal in the Nether. So I do think it's interesting though how like essential fungi is to the Nether's climate. Like without it, none of the organisms would be living. Like the food chain would just be completely disrupted, because there'd be nothing for the striders to eat, because the striders, they eat the warped fungus
Mhm.
exclusively.
Mhm.
There'd be nothing for the hoglins to eat, and if there's nothing for the hoglins to eat, then the piglins can't eat the hoglins, and then the piglins would starve, and then eventually like anything they need to eat in the Nether would just die off if there's no fungi. So both fungi, the crimson and the warped, are important in their own ways.
So the fungi can be considered the lowest level on the trophic level on the trophic scale, right?
Yeah,
Of
it's
that
it's the basis for which
hierarchy there,
everything else is built off of.
which is fascinating. That makes I never thought about in that sense before until you brought that up, which that's intriguing. I almost now want to make a whole entire pyramid of of uh of the food chain. That'd be interesting, actually. I might have to do that for the Patreon. But um no, I do find the crimson fungus and warp fungus to be very intriguing. And for potion making, we need I don't even think I have that in here on the script. How did I forget that? The nether what is that called? Oh my
The
gosh.
awkward potion, like wait, I don't brew too often, so I don't remember
I
which
don't
what
brew at
netherwort's
all,
used
and that's
for.
why I'm like foggy minded here, and people are probably screaming right now. What is it
I should
called?
know
I need
this
to look it
because
up.
I've actually been brewing weakness potions.
It's not
And
nether rack. It's it's nether
netherwort.
root. Yeah, nether wart. Thank you.
Oh yeah,
I can't find it like in
I
my world at all. It's been driving me
it's
crazy.
so the thing with that is the netherwort blocks, they grow off of the giant crimson fungi, but they can't be broken up into netherworts. Uh, although if you have like individual netherwort, like the one used for potion making, you could put 4 of them together and then make a netherwort block, which can't be
Mm-mm.
broken up again. So I think that netherworts and crimson fungi are in the same family. Like we can call them the crimson
Mm-hmm.
family, and
Yeah.
that's why we see the netherwort blocks like as the top of the giant crimson fungi mushrooms, because it's essentially the same thing, although it can't be broken apart because like there's nothing in it that could be used for potion making, which is why you can't break it up into normal netherwort. At least that's what I figure. Or maybe there's something about netherwort, like, and it's maybe it is the exact same mushroom, but then there's like something about netherwort where it has to be young for it to be good, and like it
Mm.
has to be like maybe like grown on like soul sand, like specifically for it to be good for magic. Because soul sand, that like it's, I mean, pretty obvious that like it's something that died there. There's, or maybe many things that died there, so there could be some sort of magic that's like imbued there when it's like grown that way. And maybe that's why netherwort can be used for potions, but it can't be broken up from the blocks that grow on the grow in the crimson forests.
That's a great point. I never thought about like the soul sand, maybe giving it the transmitting the magical properties over to it. That's
And
very
it's
intriguing.
definitely possible because Minecraft Dungeons has a pretty main one of the like biggest mechanics is there's like you're able to do soul builds where you whenever you kill enemies, like their soul like goes out of their body and then it like goes into like a bar, like which is like a it like powers you up, and well, it gives you energy that you can use for like either weapons or like artifacts. Um, Actually, well, no, I think the weapons, like you can get like enchantments for the weapons to help you collect more souls, and then you can use the souls like on your artifacts, which are these like sort of side weapons that are like super powerful, but you can only use like for a limited time. But these souls, if you're using a soul build, they need help charge the artifacts and make them stronger. So souls definitely have some sort of magic power in Minecraft. I mean, and so it's also seen in the vanilla game through XP. If you're considering XP to be souls, which I probably would say is true, because when you kill people or mobs or anything like that, and they drop XP, and that becomes like skulk. I forget how that process is because it's been a while since it's been down in the deep dark. But like a full once a full block of skulk is made, it can be broken up into XP, and a full block of skulk is essentially just like a lot of death. Like a ton of things have died there. Um, so I do think that XP is also souls or pieces of souls that are then can be used to like enchant things. So I do think magic and souls are like, oh, it's not just speculation, it's confirmed that magic and souls are inherently tied together in Minecraft. So I would say that like this theory probably,
Huh.
I mean, obviously like we don't know if netherwort and crimson fungi are the same, but I'd say the theory holds some ground.
I didn't know that. So that's canon. That magic and souls are tied together.
Oh yeah, Minecraft Dungeons is 100% canon to the vanilla game. Minecraft Legends is like I believe I've said this before on the show, but Minecraft Legends is like told through the lens of a story. So like not all the finer details might be canon, just like the basic structure. But Minecraft Dungeons, that's actually like every single part of it is canon, like all the story and everything like that. Um, I know a lot of people say like, oh well, you can make your own canon, and that is true. Like you can make your own like story for your world and whatnot. But I'm saying like, according to Mojang, the official Minecraft canon includes Minecraft Dungeons and the associated DLCs with that. So that's why I like look into all this. Like even though I barely play Dungeons, I mostly just play the vanilla game. I look into this stuff because I want to see what canon has to offer. And Dungeons really like dives into, especially with the Nether, it dives into all these different types of fungi and variants.
Very interesting. I should have more research into the dungeons. I always
It's
am in the sphere of vanilla, you know.
with dungeons, it's not there's not too much to research because interestingly enough, despite like this insane amount of world building for the Nether DLC, they don't explain any of the mushrooms or anything like that. The only reason we know their names is either through asking developers, or some of them can be found in the texture files, like the names. But outside of that, like none of it's explained, none of it's like shown like anywhere else. Like it's made exclusively for dungeons. And I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff here. There's actually someone online who I believe I saw this. I found this originally on Discord somewhere. Like I think on like maybe the Minecraft Wiki Discord or something like that. It's written by someone who's just credited themselves as BD. I don't know who that is, but
Hmm.
if whoever that is would like to step up, I'd love to hear who it, or I'd love to hear who's behind this, because this is like a really comprehensive document that goes over all of the extended flora, which is pretty much entirely fungus.
Mhm.
That's local to the Nether. So I'll send it so that it can be added to the show description or whatever. But this is definitely worth checking out if you're into the Nether and the plants and fungi that are there.
That's really interesting. It's a whole document, huh? Like
Yeah, no, it's actually 82 pages long, so it's
what?
really really comprehensive. Yeah, like this is a lot of
Wow.
effort was put into this.
Dang. Yeah. Send me that link so I can get that to people.
Oh
That'd
yeah,
be
for sure. Yeah, this is
very much
definitely worth checking out,
appreciated.
y'all.
That's crazy. Yeah, I believe it though. I mean, I believe it. People really. That's not the first. My gosh, I can't remember. Somebody sent me something that was around. I don't know, 60 pages. It was like a theory. I can't remember. I think it was tied to the Nether, but that was like almost 2 years ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't read all this. Oh
Yeah,
my
no,
gosh.
it's like yeah, some of these like obviously I've skimmed through a lot of it, but like I've had this document for like a couple years now, so I've had the chance to look through some of it, at least the more interesting parts, and they give explanations or like speculations when they can, and it's definitely worth checking out. Well, I'm not going to go into like all of these obviously, but like the one thing I would like to mention is a different species or different family of mushroom that we don't see whatsoever in or vanilla Minecraft or even Legends for that matter, and that's the midnight mold family. So in with all these mushrooms, they're either like in the warped family or the crimson family, but this midnight mold family is a small family of mushrooms that are purple with like glowing blue specks, and they're seen rarely throughout the DLC. I think they're only in like one maybe two missions, but like they're very rarely seen. And there's a few variants of them, but it's something that I don't expect we'll be seeing in the vanilla game. They're very cool though, and definitely worth checking out.
What is midnight mold?
It's so they don't. That's the thing is they don't ever explain any of the mushrooms, but it's like a giant, or there's some small ones too, but it's mostly like a giant dark purple mushroom that has glowing blue dots on it, as opposed to like a red mushroom with like the white dots like we see in the overworld. Although it's different too because it's like it's got like a thick stalk, but then the mushroom itself is like it's just a big square. It's not like a cap or anything like that. So it also differs like that. And one last thing that
Weird.
separates it too is that it has like strands hanging off of it, and many of the strands end with one of those glowing blue lights. So it's a really interesting piece, and definitely worth checking out.
And that's found in which game?
That's found in Minecraft Dungeons. It's never mentioned by name. It's just all seen as background props, but you'll be seeing it in the early Nether missions, and there's quite a lot you'll be seeing. A lot of stuff that's exclusive to the game. Like I said, there's 82 different entries here, but obviously there a lot of these are probably the same thing, like or like different aspects of the same mushroom or in the same family. I still think it's all very interesting, though. It's clear they put a ton of time into this.
Obviously, no, the developers really thought this out. I think there's a lot more to it than what we know or even speculating about. I think we're only seeing like the tip of the iceberg. Did
Oh,
you?
for sure.
No, that's I love the name of it too. Midnight mold, right? That's
Yeah, no, it's I think it's really cool. And it's what sucks is that these developers they spend all this time like making all these cool names and stuff for all these different mushrooms that would just never be like uh, their name would never be shown. Like it's missing in most of the texture files too, because most of the texture files they're in asset packs where they're with a bunch of other stuff, or I don't know if they'd be called asset
that's
packs. They're like on yeah, they're with a bunch of other stuff, so they're not directly named. And it's like someone put a ton of time into this, and they put a lot of thought into it too. And it just really sucks that a lot of these names just go completely unnoticed. Like I wouldn't have known about any of these if I didn't find this doc.
no, that's intriguing. So a lot of these entries in this document that you're going to send me the link to aren't didn't even make it into the game. Then
They did, but like they none of them were mentioned by name. So it's like
okay,
they're just seen in the background, but like some aren't even mentioned by name in the texture files. That's like they're just part of like a
interesting.
bigger texture file, like with other props, like background props and stuff. So while they do have an official name that the devs gave it, it's never like shown anywhere in the actual game files, which sucks because it's like you put all this work into coming up with this cool stuff and then no one gets to see it. But I mean, at
Yeah,
least we get to see the mushrooms themselves, and even if they're not given any descriptors by the devs, like I think that alone is pretty interesting.
yeah, I love that name. Like I said, yeah. This is something I pulled up. I didn't realize this until doing the research, but did you realize that the crimson and warp fungi can form huge fungi similar to giant mushrooms in the overworld?
uh, the warped fungi.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
the warp fungi or the
like
crimson
the
and
yeah, it's
white
like
might.
the warped fungi forest that you'd find in the Nether, right?
Yeah, I didn't know we could do that in the overworld though. I didn't know those could be brought over
Oh,
and
they
run.
can, huh?
That's what I
That I
read.
mean,
I think it was in Minecraft Wiki, I think is where I read that.
huh? No, I believe you. It's just like I said, I haven't played that
Well,
version in a long time, and that's definitely not something
I
I've
don't know if I
tried.
believe
But
my I don't know if I believe myself now that I say that. Anyways,
maybe
folks,
it's
fact check me on that. um,
maybe it's one of those things where it's like it can grow in the overworld, but it's just like not specifically suited for that climate, so it would have to actually be cultivated instead of. And that makes sense. Like you would have to plant it. You have to like bone meal it or whatever
yeah,
for it to grow. So maybe it's just like not it can't spread like the other mushroom can, the amanita or the what are they the button mushrooms. Um, and those like they do well in the nether, they do well in the overworld. Well, they do better in the overworld, but maybe the spores from the warped and the crimson fungus don't have those same strengths.
interesting. Now, I'd like to move on here to another. We kind of you talked a little bit about glowing fungi, or the one in dungeons, I believe. That
Oh
kind of
yeah.
the bioluminescence there, and I kind of want to segue to another one, but only found in Minecraft that shows some form of, to me, bioluminescence. And this is the shroomlight. And I think the shroomlight is intriguing. It's a, excuse me, it's a glowing block found within the Nether's crimson and warp forests. And I just want to pause and talk about this for a bit. The shroomlight, according to Minecraft.wiki, is technically a fungus. What do you make of this unusual fungus?
Well, I mean, it's not too unrealistic. Um, we do see like bioluminescent mushrooms. You actually a couple days ago you sent me a link to like some of the
Yeah.
bioluminescent mushrooms, like the green glowing ones. I thought that was really cool.
Let's pause there real quick on
Mhm.
that note. I actually found an article, if I may read that, just like a little
Oh
bit
yeah, of course.
about that. It's a interesting article on NPR.org titled "Why Some Mushrooms Glow in the Dark," written by Nell Greenfield Boyce, which explains that 71 species of fungi out of 100,000 known to us actually glow with a bioluminescence. They mention one particular type of fungus, the neon. Sorry, my Latin neo neonothampanus gardneri, found in the coconut forests of Brazil, and they glow in eerie green. They look super cool, and I think I sent you that article, and it shows some of that. This eerie green glow is made from the same two chemicals that fireflies use, which are luciferin and luciferase. And scientists have confirmed that this fungi can control its glow and uses this bioluminescence to lure insects to it in order for them to pick up its spores so it can be spread around the forest. It does this because that area lacks wind, so it can't disperse the spores through wind. I mention all this because I wanted to ask you, do you think the Shroomlight has a bioluminescence property to it? And do you think that it's luring something?
Maybe it could be. I mean, mushrooms like they do obviously like if it's completely eaten, like it can't be passing on spores. Like if it's the spores that are digested, they're not going to survive in the digestive system. So they don't want to be eaten. But like you were saying, like how the it attracts bugs to get them on to come to the mushrooms. Like maybe like they're eating some of the mushrooms, like I mentioned earlier, the hoglins are reliant on the crimson fungi, and if I'm not mistaken, that's where these grow on, right? They don't they grow on like giant crimson fungi, or are they their own
Yeah,
thing?
excuse me. I believe it was the Nether's Crimson and Warp Forest
Yeah.
um,
So
in those
oh,
areas.
it's in the warped forests. So
Hmm.
that's it's only in the blue ones. Let's see.
I've seen them in the red crimson. It says Nether is in both of them.
Oh, okay, got you. That it definitely could be trying to attract them because both of them do have predators or like animals that eat them. Either the hoglin for the crimson or the strider for the warped. So maybe
Hmm.
they're trying to attract them there. And for the giant mushrooms, I mean, they'd be eating some, but realistically, they're small creatures. They would not be eating like even like a block's worth of the mushroom. So like maybe while they're eating, like the spores are landing on them as they're like shaking the mushroom, like tearing pieces off of it. Um, and like, or if it's the smaller mushrooms, then they're just eating the whole thing. Like they're still going to be walking like surrounded by the mycelium. So and then once they go away, when they're full, they'd be like you mentioned earlier, they'd be moving that the spores with them and dispersing them. So it could be similar, and it could be like a method of dispersion. I could definitely see that happening.
It'd be I mean, it's a fun thought for sure, and it just had me thinking. And I had another thought that just popped up in my head. What is netherrack to you?
Netherrack.
Yeah,
That's I mean that's the thing. Like they never really explained it. What I think it is like, I mean, if it was originally called Bloodstone, I believe, right? So it could be something that like is supposed to be flesh. And I mean, it was supposed to look like flesh originally. Um, when it was like had
yeah,
that really like eye jarring texture that
yeah.
like
I remember seeing pictures of it. It looks like flesh. Yes.
yeah, it's so but now it's like clear that it's like a stone like substance. So I think that maybe if it is flesh, like if it's like the belly of the beast, like I was saying my theory in the last episode,
Mm-hmm.
um, maybe it's like flesh that's just completely dried. There's like no moisture left, or maybe it's flesh that never needed moisture to begin with. So if that's the case, though, that would mean like it wouldn't make sense. That it would just be a bunch of flesh from like dead things that just like piled up. Because I feel like it would look a little more varied if that was the case. If it is flesh, I believe it's probably one giant living organism.
Yeah. Yeah. It's That's an interesting thought. I almost was thinking maybe it's very soft. It's easy to break. I was
Oh
just
yeah,
thinking maybe it's part of this fungal ecosystem. I'm not sure. I'm just spitballing here.
it definitely could
Anyway,
be.
yeah,
Um,
I just don't know.
but
I think
I'm
the
not.
shroomlights are very interesting.
Maybe like I feel like it would only work though if it was like if they were like long dead mushrooms, because I don't believe mycelium can grow off of other mycelium. I could be wrong, but I don't think that's something that happens. But if it's like dried mushroom caps, for example, that make up the netherrack that are just like so dried they've like petrified over time, maybe then maybe mycelium like would be possible on that. So I'm not too sure. Like I'm not like a biologist or anything like that, and like I haven't been to the Nether in real life, so these things I can't say for sure. But we can the best we can do is speculate.
No, I hear you, and that yeah, you're right. That's really all we can do. Um, I am curious. I got another theory here that I pulled up. I'm trying to find it. Why do you think the piglins are afraid of the crimson fungus or the fungus? Why is that? You can
Maybe
and you mentioned something on the show before. It's when you came on about to talk about the Minecraft movie, a Minecraft movie. Um, about what was their name?
Malgosha.
Sorry, yes,
You're
Malgosha.
good.
And at the end there, they were her minions or whatever you want to call them. Or did she have it? But that red smoky stuff. What was that? You had a theory on that, didn't you?
Yeah, so they were holding these lantern things. I forget what they were called. But
Like
there's like
incense burners
yeah,
almost.
like you see like with Orthodox Christians like sometimes use it like and they have them like on poles or whatever. But like
Hmm.
Malgosha had like two piglins around her, and they had those sort of things, but instead of like perfume or spices or whatever the Orthodox like put in there. I don't know. I wasn't raised that. I wasn't raised
Yeah,
like that.
same.
But like there's spores coming out of it instead, and the spores they're clearly netherwort spores. And we've seen that before in Minecraft Legends. The piglins have to spread netherwort to stay in the overworld without zombifying. So netherwort is like the cure. It's also shown like in like a potion. I don't think actually yeah, I think it's explained that the potion is made of netherwort in the Minecraft movie. It's also in
Was
the
it?
if it's
I
not
couldn't.
I could be wrong because I read the Minecraft Legends like tie-in novel like the day before I watched the movie, just so that I could like
Hmm.
have it as like a point of reference. So I might have them confused. But in the tie-in novel for Minecraft Legends, it's explained that it's a netherwort inside the potions that makes the piglins immune.
Yeah, I think you got that from the novel, not the movie. But
Yeah, I'm probably wrong there, but the piglins did drink potions in the movie, and based on like this other evidence that we've seen here, that it is most definitely netherwort in those potions, along with something else which is never shown. Like it's implied that there's something else that makes it like work. It's not just like netherwort and water or anything like that. Although
really,
it does require water according to the book. Um,
really,
so,
how
but
do they
in
get the
this
water?
case, like with that they'd have to come go to the overworld for it and bottle
Yeah.
it, and that's something that's
Well,
like
how do
not
they
really
do that?
possible. Yeah, that's the thing. What the in the book, what happens, like I'm not going to spoil, actually honestly no one's going to read this book. It's just like
Well,
um
spoiler alert,
it
real quick.
yeah,
Spoiler alert,
spoiler alert
folks.
for a
Hang
book
on,
that
let
came
me.
out like 3 years ago and like almost
Oh,
nobody
don't.
bought.
Well, in case
um
somebody is in the midst of
yeah,
reading it,
it,
go ahead.
honestly, yeah, honestly I hope someone reads it. It's what happens is like
Yeah, but go ahead. What were they saying?
there's this really smart piglin, like a genius, like who's like an advisor to this like this piglin warlord who's in charge of a bastion, and he gets expelled for something or other. So he finds this old nether portal, and the nether hasn't been connected to the overworld for a long time now, but he finds this portal that's like lit, and then he realizes on the other side, he finds on the other side like this old like mural, and it on the other side of the portal is like this cave. It's like in the deep dark, so it's like at the level where you find like axolotls and stuff like that. Um, but like he sees like a carved mural that shows like how the piglins invaded the overworld back in the day, which led to all of, like the ruined portals everywhere, and also like the events of Minecraft Legends. And then like in an effort to try to like get back and be back in the overworld and conquer it again, like he's not able to do it because like he keeps getting sick from the spore or from whatever's like in the overworld that's causing them to zombify. But he captures another piglin, or two of them, I think, and then uses them as like test subjects, like sending them out like on chains, and
Oh
pretty much like
wow,
forcing them to like go out and like he uses like different potions on them to see what works and what doesn't. So he uses that to try to figure out and recreate the potion that the original piglins used to invade the overworld. So
interesting.
it doesn't have to be a potion though, as like we you mentioned earlier with Malgosha and the two piglins next to her. So they're burning something or other that's like releasing these netherwort spores, and the spores just breathing them in. That's like enough to fight off whatever toxin is in the overworld that's causing the sickness. And for that, like the reason why I think the piglins get sick is because it's a completely different climate for them. It's like, you know, I feel like most Americans know at this point, it's like taught in the schools, like how like when the pilgrims came, or not the pilgrims, but like some early settlers, like when they wanted to get rid of like Native American tribes or communities, they'd trade them like smallpox like covered blankets, um, or like intentionally infected stuff like that, to
Yeah,
like
it's
wipe them out.
disgusting.
Yeah, it's a horrible part of history, but like it's history nonetheless, and it's something that like is important to consider. Like people like always like to talk about time travel, but one of the biggest considerations in time travel is like what could I get that could in back there that could make me sick that I'm like not like protected against. Like we don't get vaccinated for the plague anymore, but if you go back to the wrong time, you could end up with that, or smallpox, for example. I don't think either of us have been vaccinated for smallpox, but you go back
I
far
have.
enough and oh really? Huh.
Oh yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
that. I, I I guess that's more of a
I'm
recent thing that
almost
you don't have to
38.
do it anymore.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
yeah, I'm
d-
vaccinated. I'm
Damn, you're
good.
ancient, man. I'm only
I
21. I don't
know.
have to worry about that.
I know. I was born in '87. I think I was probably one of the last people. I think I'm pretty sure I had my vaccination for smallpox.
And even though it's like fully eradicated or almost fully eradicated now, you can still get it in some places, which is why the vaccine still exists in some areas like in Africa and whatnot. But like that's like that's the thing. It's like you got to be considering all these different factors. And like the reality is, you probably are going to get sick from something or other. And I think like the zombie plague, like it's gotten to the point where the overworld, the people in the overworld and the creatures in the overworld, they won't get like instantly infected by it just by breathing it in the air, like whatever little spores or whatever causes the plague is in the air, whether it's a virus or spores or something else. Um, I think that like,
I wanted to ask you more on that.
oh
Um,
yeah,
what do you think about what is it that makes them zombify? What is it about the overworld's atmosphere that mutates them into this hideous creature?
so considering we don't really see any ties between the zombies and the mushrooms, I wouldn't say that they're tied to either of the two mushrooms that we see in the overworld. It
Hmm.
could be like fungal based, but once again, like we don't really see any proof of that. Like it's more likely that creepers are fungal based than zombies, just because of the way that they act and like they blow up to like disperse themselves. But with zombies, I think that's more likely a virus, like a virus that's like present like all over the atmosphere. You know how like Teflon, like it's in like all over the atmosphere, like regardless of if you're living like in New York or rural China, there's going to be Teflon in your water or like whatever chemical is behind that. It's like everywhere now, so it could be the same thing where it's just like there's so much of this virus in the atmosphere that everyone in the overworld is like pretty much immune to it unless like they're directly bitten by like a zombie, or like killed by a zombie in the case of villagers. But outside of that, like if you're something that's coming from another dimension and you're have a predisposed like ability to be infected by it, like that would absolutely like your immune system wouldn't be prepared for it at all and it would completely destroy you. So I
Hmm.
feel like that explains why they get zombified like so fast.
Intriguing. What about the lightning? While we're on the subject of zombification with piglins, what about pig turning into a well, it first turns into a piglin, then a
Oh yeah.
zombie. I think super fast, right? Doesn't it go through the whole process? Isn't it
I
right?
so the thing is like on the version I play on, it's still that like it's just a pig and then it gets struck and then it just turns into a zombie pigman because the version I play on, piglins
Ah,
haven't been added yet. But it would make sense if it's went from pig to piglin to zombie pigman or zombie piglin. But I can't say for sure because I haven't played on that version for a while and I won't be playing on that version until the server updates. um, but like
when are they going to update that?
they they say it's coming soon, but they've been saying that for years now. So I mean,
Yeah.
like I'll play regardless of what version we're on, but I'd really like to see the newer updates. It's just like I don't really have as much of an interest in like starting a new world or joining another like server like that. It's going to inevitably shut down. I'd rather just stick to the one that I know is going to stick around. So that's why I've stuck with it all this time, and why I've just like not really been checking out the newer updates outside of like maybe creating a new world in creative just to test out the stuff just for a couple minutes just to figure out how it is.
I get that. Now,
But I do
go ahead.
think that the lightning in itself, I just think that there's like there's not probably not a scientific explanation. I just think that there's just like some magic involved there, like the same thing that turns a villager into a witch. Like it can't really be explained, you know. It's just like I just think that there's like some magic going on there that's like just doesn't have to be explained because there is no explanation for it. Because I mean, you could spend hours thinking about it, but it's just like in the end, it just doesn't make sense. And I don't think the devs thought of it either. They just thought, oh, what can we do? Like we can do this and that. That might be cool, you know. And that's sort of just like that's usually where it starts, where it's just like you think of a cool feature and then you build lore off of that, or you add lore and then uh, make it tie into that somehow. Um, and that I think that could just be the case here, where there just really isn't any lore because it's just more of a gameplay feature.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the devs there doesn't have to be a reason to everything in the game. Sometimes it's just really cool, like you said. So yeah, I think that might just be how it came about too. But it's fun to still form theories around it.
No, yeah, for
S-
sure.
Speaking of theories, I did find something interesting that's related to fungi and the Nether. It was a post made 4 years ago on Reddit, and it really intrigued me. It was by a person called Kane's Rule 360. they had attached a screenshot of an article that I managed to dig up that was super interesting. The article was published on Minecraft.net on March 25th, 2021, so 4 years ago. It was titled Taking Inventory Netherite Scrap, written by Duncan Gear. And if you just allow me to quote this part of the article that Kane's Rule 360 shared real quick. Um, Quote, the problem is that landfills are often pretty toxic environments, and this is where mushrooms come in. What? No, really. Fungi based technology is quite often used to decontaminate polluted environments. So, next time you're wandering through a particularly contaminated part of the nether and wondering why there are lots of mushrooms and scrap metal but no plants, you've got your answer. End quote. Do you believe that the fungi in the nether were introduced there as a way to quote unquote decontaminate the polluted environment? I know that you mentioned earlier that your theory or hypothesis is that the mushrooms derived there. This theory kind of contradicts that, saying that they were put there to clean it. What do you think?
That could also be the case. Like I said on the previous episode, like my theory of them coming from the Nether. Well, I'd like to think that, and that I think is a lot cooler in my opinion. Like obviously, there's the fact that mushrooms exist in the real world and somehow like managed to like evolve in their own separate path and like still exist alongside us. So if they could exist in the real world, they could have been coming from the overworld. In that case, mushrooms came from the overworld and then went to the nether, and then those two species of mushrooms evolved into the other mushrooms that we see in the nether today.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so sorry, I just went off on a tangent. What was the question again?
No, I was just wondering. Do you think that the fungi were they introduced into the Nether to quote unquote decontaminate the polluted environment? Because that part of the article that I read, they pretty much say that people are using fungi based technology to clean up in the real world polluted environments. So the theory is here. Do you think that's what's happening with the here in the nether? Do you think it's trying to be cleaned up? Maybe it's trying to, maybe the fungi was introduced there with the mushrooms to make this place more habitable
That
or
definitely could be the
suitable to
case.
another species. I don't know.
I
What
mean,
do you think?
if you're colonizing another completely another dimension, I mean, like first off, I mean, our only real world connection we could make is like people like coming up with plans to like colonize Mars or the in a lesser extent the moon. I feel like the moon would be more practical, but that's not what this episode's about. But
Yeah.
anyway, for Mars, there's like very specific plants and stuff that can be grown, like obviously like not just out like in the Martian wasteland, but like in like specific habitats. But I think the same case could be said for the Nether, where it's like other plants just don't grow here, and the fungus was the only thing that whoever came before, maybe it was pigmen that eventually became the piglins we see today, and maybe they're responsible for all this. And
Hmm.
maybe obviously, like if you're any sort of biological creature, you need something to sustain you. So maybe they introduced that as a way to or maybe as a way to like feed the stuff that they'd eat. Like they feed it to the hoglins, and then they eat the hoglins, and then they use that as like a meat source. So as like a sort of like just how like we grow a ton of corn in the U.S., but most of that goes towards like feeding the cows. So it's like something like that where it's like not really food grade stuff, but like you use it to make your food. Um, and it also, yeah, it could be something where it's like it's cleaning up the toxins. Where, and I can imagine like the Nether probably has like a ton of like sulfur and like gases and stuff like that all around it. Um,
Basalt, all that good stuff.
yeah, no, it definitely it definitely wouldn't be a pleasant place to be breathing in the air. So maybe the mushrooms, like especially the bigger mushrooms, like maybe they're contributing to cleaning up the place and like making it at least like livable. It's like not really safe, but at least like you won't like immediately die there, and you won't die just from like being out in the open air.
Well, an
So
interest. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, I do think I was just gonna end up by saying like I do think that the mushrooms are like the complete or the base of the ecosystem and are like providing the air. Like, I mean, if air is a factor in Minecraft, they're the ones that are responsible for it.
And that was something I was about to say. Was I read a fascinating, well, not really well, yeah, it was a short article that algae and I believe fungi, but and moss, I think they're kind of in the same category, produce more oxygen than trees, and actually than any other biomass, I believe, which I found to be interesting. So,
I never knew
per,
that.
yeah, they produce much more oxygen than your tree, and so I believe scientists are actually trying to find ways to use algae and moss to. They're finding a lot of great use for those product or for those organisms, but for cleaning up the atmosphere for sure. So I don't know. I think there might be some weight behind this provided by Kane's Rule 360. To me, it kind of makes a little sense.
I could definitely see it. I mean, that's not something I've given much thought before, but now that it's brought up, like it, like even if it was unintentional, like that, it probably would have been what made the Nether habitable. So whether it's intentional or not, it's like, and obviously it's like what makes like everything in the ecosystem that's alive today uh, subside. Like maybe the we see these like giant ancient creatures like through the skeletons in the Nether, and maybe those could have eaten something else. Maybe they could have like lived off of lava or something when the Nether was in like a different condition or in a different age. But we really don't know this stuff. It's just like up to speculation.
I know you brought up those giant dinosaur bones that are extraordinarily rare to find because you nor I have found them, and um, and we've been playing for a while.
Oh yeah.
But it's interesting. What the heck are those? What are
So
they?
it in the overworld, there's specific, or in both the overworld and Nether, but in the overworld, you see better cases of it. There's both rib cages and there's skulls, and I think there's four sets of skulls and four sets of rib cages, um, all in varying sizes and shapes, and they're really neat. You can find them on the Minecraft wiki. And the Nether has bones too, but they're all rib cages, aside from one which is like the I forget what it's called, but it's like the bone that's like in front of the rib cages that like connects the ribs together, like in on the front of your chest. Um,
Not the sternum, is it?
I think it might be the sternum.
Yeah, sternum.
It could be that. Like, I failed biology, so
Oh, you.
yeah,
I love
I,
biology, so I'm pretty sure it's the sternum is what connects the ribs together.
yeah, it's clearly one of those, or at least that's what it's said on the wiki. And but every other one of them is just a ribs of varying sizes in the Nether. And from the size of the ribs, like whatever would have been that, it would have been like some sort of giant creature. Like in Minecraft Legends, we do see like giant hoglins that, like I've mentioned this before. I don't know if I've mentioned it on the podcast, but the giant hoglins that we're seeing in Minecraft Legends that are like the size of elephants. They probably would have
Really?
bone structures similar to the bones that we see that are actually like just an entire block big. Like these
Wow.
are absolutely massive creatures, and I do think that they probably fit that scale. So it could be those, but it also could just be something else that's like long dead and was there before even the piglins arrived.
That's extraordinarily interesting. I didn't know that. I could see that now, actually, them being huge hoglins, prehistoric huge hoglins. Wonder why they would have died out. I know we're
Yeah,
going off topic of fungi, but
there
yeah, I'm
definitely
just
would have been
curious.
like a mass extinction event. And honestly, there we do see some of that. Like we see that they've been getting smaller because in Minecraft Legends, there's one hog called I forget what it's called. It's like it's like this ancient hog, and it's like this really big hoglin. It's got scars all over it, and it's got like a pack of like baby hoglins surrounding it. But it's clear this is like it's been like raising like broods or whatever you call like a set of piglets for generations. And the pigmen or the piglins, they've been trying to hunt this thing, and they want to collect its head, or and they're just like it's pretty much like a trophy to them. And
Hmm.
it's clear that like this ancient thing is like it's the biggest hoglin that we've seen in like any Minecraft canon. So maybe the ancient hoglins were all that size, or maybe they've just the further you go back, the bigger they were. But now that there's like less and less food, or less mushrooms, or less meat, or whatever they would eat back then, that
Hmm.
went away. So they just had to get smaller and smaller to survive.
And actually, that would make sense because I think that um, I read a book about pygmy populations throughout history, and scarcity of food and environment can relate to smaller species. So that's intriguing. No,
I
that's
never would have
intriguing.
guessed that for the pygmies, but that does make a lot of sense.
I don't know about the pygmy people. I'm trying to think of like the pigs.
Oh, I thought you were
Those
talking
type.
about the pygmies, like the like how they
No, I think
evolved. I'm
there's
like,
a.
oh,
I
that's
believe there's a pygmy type pig. Aren't I correct? They're a little bit smaller. But anyways, I think
teacup pigs.
maybe I'm not sure. But anyways, there's another theory here that you may find intriguing by Kane's Rule 360. It's in a different comment, but this kind of explains another way that mushrooms or fungi could have been introduced to the Nether. They point out that generic overworld brown bun and fly agaric mushrooms could have been introduced into the Nether by Endermen because they can pick them up and teleport to, say, Crimson Forests, where we see them in droves. So, what are your thoughts on this?
That I've never even considered that, but that makes a ton of sense.
But we
And
don't see
honest,
them in the end. No fungus in the end, right?
well, that
Nothing
could
like
just be
that.
because the climate's like too cold for it to survive.
Mm,
Like just like how we don't see fungus in the snow biomes. So
true.
it's just like not the right conditions for it. And maybe if it's like if it's brought over there, it would just like die out and like just like be forgotten about. It wouldn't spread anywhere, like take over an island or anything like that. Um, but I could definitely see that. Like, and maybe I mean, considering that the Enderman theory, maybe the Enderman was also what was responsible for the first portal that was made. Like maybe it was just unintentional and just like obsidian, just like stuff being placed randomly until like obsidian was placed in like that specific way, and somehow like caused the portal to be lit. And then that could have been there for generations, like completely unnoticed by any like sentient being, until
Mhm.
like someone came through it, and then that could have been the first like portal that people used to reference off of to make other portals and start the colonization of the Nether.
Interesting. No, there's a lot to think about there, and it has me really thinking about the Enderman because I've read a lot of theories. I need to do an episode over Enderman, but I've read a lot of theories about why they pick up blocks. Like I think they're trying to I read I think one that they're trying to slowly dissolve the overworld
Oh yeah,
because
it's according to the official Mojang. It was like a leaked employee reference book for like
okay.
I don't think they adhere to it anymore because a lot of stuff that's shown in Minecraft dungeons contradicts like what's said in the book. But like
Oh,
it's supposed to be a reference for like what kind of content should be going to Minecraft, what kind of content should be avoided, and it's pretty good. It's a good reference if you're trying to like make vanilla plus content, or like
hmm,
trying to make like a resource pack or something like that, or trying to make a mod and you don't feel like it fits into Minecraft. It's definitely worth checking out if you're doing any of that stuff.
yeah, I remember that book, and it's not that long of a read, really.
Oh
It's
yeah, you can
interesting.
find it on
That's
you
really
can find it
interesting.
on archive.org. It's like 20 or so pages, so it'll only take you a few minutes. But yeah, it's just publicly available. It's not hidden anymore, and it's pretty good quality too for like an internal book. So I feel like they
Yeah, it
figured it'd be
is.
leaked at some point, or they knew it'd be shared with like other people. So it's clear some time was put into it.
Great graphics. Um, Now, I think it's interesting to think that maybe the Endermen are the ones that are who have placed the mushrooms in the Nether. Now I'm thinking, maybe they're the ones trying to tame this wild place by using them to decontaminate the polluted environment, so to speak.
It could be that like they're able to they obviously thrive in the end and they can survive in the overworld, but maybe early on they weren't able to survive in the Nether whatsoever. Like they'd be taking damage, so they could have done that intentionally where they put some mycelium there to try to like colonize it. Maybe they tried other stuff first, like grass or trees or whatever, but none of that worked. And mushrooms are what set in, so they just started doing that. But also, it could just as well be that they're just moving blocks just randomly, just like they do anyway, and they bring a block over just like not knowing like what it's going to do, and then it somehow manages to stick. Just like how Chinese stilt grass or Japanese stilt grass, I don't know what it is, but it's like this Oriental grass that's like really soft and used to be used to pack like is used like pretty much like packing peanuts. You put it down like when you're packing other stuff, and it'd be in like shipping crates and stuff like that. But the seeds from the grasses, they'd be included with it, and then people throw away the box, and then the seeds get out into the ecosystem and completely take over like all the natural grass and everything, and outcompete it. So it could be the same thing there, where it's just like it's unintentionally just like introduced, but then it becomes like the dominant species and takes over.
I think that's what's going to be the future. If they ever made like a future version of Minecraft, the mycelium would just take over the entire overworld because somebody had introduced. Because if you bring that block from the mushroom field biomes and plant it, say, in a prairie biome, it'll consume it.
That's one thing I've been wondering, because that probably has happened before. So that why aren't we seeing like entire biomes that are covered with mushrooms? Like, why is it only islands? I think it's because like they're eventually like it gets to the point where the mushroom gets eaten by something, and
Mm.
like, or maybe it's just like geological conditions, like where the we don't see any climate change in Minecraft. Like, not climate change as in like the climate changing over time, but like as in like weather changes like in different biomes. Like if it's a snowy biome, it's always going to be a snowy biome, but we don't know if canonically that's like how it works. And if it's not like or if it is that case, like maybe the snow like kills the spores, and for that reason, like it's none of that's able to like set for any like long period of time because it won't survive the winter. But then like over on those islands, they're secluded enough that they're away from all that the weather. I don't.
Speaking of spores and transmissal of spores or transmission of spores, not to interject on
No,
the
you're good.
mushroom fields, but creepers. There's a lot of theories that they could be a type of fungus, and when they explode, that's how they emit their spores to propagate. Well, do you think that holds any water?
So one thing that a lot of people don't know is that spores aren't exclusive to fungi. Ferns actually have spores too, and that's how they reproduce, and that's how they spread themselves. So ferns are
Interesting.
actually a very ancient plant. It's like they predate most like modern grasses and whatnot, and like ground like shrubs and stuff like that. They're from a completely different era. So that's why they like reproduce differently, and that's why they look differently. Just like how ginkgo trees look different than any other kind of tree, or like pine trees or conifer trees have the needles instead of leaves. It's because they're from a completely different time where that's how all plants used to look like, and they're just the sole survivors of that. So it could be something like that going on.
That's fascinating. No, I was
But
just wondering about that because I could actually see the creeper being a fern then than anything else, not fungi. That makes sense to me.
and the fact that we do see ferns in the game, like we don't see concentrations of creepers around ferns, but then again, it could just be something where there's places where ferns grow better, and I think they still grow in plains and stuff like that. But you mostly see them in I could be wrong there, but you mostly see them in like forests and like I think spruce forests. That's where you see the most of them. So that could just be like where it's like best for the ferns, and like maybe the creeper doesn't know that. Maybe the creeper's not like sentient and like not smart enough to know like, okay, I should explode somewhere where I can be spread better. Like maybe it's just exploding anywhere like when prompted, just so that it can like spread the spores.
Interesting. Jump into another theory real quick. Um, do you think fungi and or mushrooms, or they both alike, are responsible for the zombie outbreak that we see in Minecraft, and is the source to what's keeping the skeletons animated,
I
like
personally
cordyceps almost?
I've heard that theory a few times now, but I personally don't think it holds any grounds. Just because, like, we see a lot of zombification, like whether it be like this, a lot of like parts of the zombification. Like we see how like they're affected by fire. We see how they can there specifically the zombie villagers can be cured and how like zombies can infect the villagers. And we see like when you kill a zombie, it drops like sometimes it drops carrots, sometimes it drops potatoes, mostly drops rotten flesh. It never drops a mushroom though. And zombies, they will never appear on mushroom islands either. So I do think that whatever's causing it is, it could be a fungi, but I feel like more likely it's a virus, because like when a zombie dies, like there's no like concentration of different fungi around it or anything like that. So unless it's like a spore that's just in the air and like grows on things like maybe like a lichen that's like not really noticeable, I'd feel like the most likely case is that it's just a virus that's just like in the air, like I mentioned earlier, how like Teflon's everywhere. It could just be like that, where it's just like in all the air you breathe, just like that, and like microplastics, you know.
Interesting. What do you think caused the virus, or what do you think caused that to be in the atmosphere of the overworld?
I'm genuinely not sure. It maybe could be something like intentionally introduced, like a bioweapon. I mean, the witches have existed for a long time, and magic has existed for a long time. So, or magic's presumably existed forever. So, maybe that this was something created like as like an ancient curse. Um,
Hmm.
it's it's I like how it's open ended, because like it really like, and I've seen like probably like most theories about, or most theories that people make about Minecraft lore usually are around zombies and like the zombie virus and stuff like that, or like the ancient builders or whatever. But like so I've heard a lot of different theories on it, but I like how they keep it open ended, so it just leaves people to speculate.
I do too. That's one reason why I love this game so much. No, I really loved hearing your thoughts on that as well. I've always been curious to what has caused this apocalyptic event. That's, I think, whatever it's on everybody's mind, I think, who plays the game, like what caused this horrible incident. But I think the overworld is coalescing and coming back, re-emerging. It's becoming more, because I see it this way. I think we as a player in the game, I think we're also learning the overworld as well, and that's why there's new items being made. I think we're evolving. Do you Does that make sense?
No, I like that theory. And that does make a lot of sense. It's like some things are lost to time. Like we don't know how to make some of the stuff that was made in the past by the ancients that came before us. But
Hmm.
on the alternative like side, we know how to make some stuff. We've invented new technologies that they couldn't figure out in their time. So there's sort of a trade off there. But that definitely makes sense.
Yeah, it's just something I've thought about, and kind of what I adopted in my world in the back of my head. Like, okay, we're learning as we go. Now I can craft saddles. I don't know why I wasn't able to craft a saddle this whole time, since I was able to make this intricate leather armor, but now I can craft a saddle. Now, you know what I mean? And but I think we're evolving, and I think the overworld is evolving as well. I I just because we're getting new species, there's new things popping up, or maybe we're discovering new parts and there's now these creatures and whatnot. I don't know. I do love the open endedness of it all. I
I
did
will
want to.
say
Sorry, go ahead.
before we end off here, like I will say that the overworld, like what you're saying about it constantly changing, that could not be more true, because like in Minecraft, in the three games, like Legends, Dungeons, and the base game, they all have like pretty much they have some shared like base plants and fungi, but outside of that's completely different. So, and these are different time periods too, so it's clear that there's a lot of change going on in what's presumably a short period of time compared to evolution seen here in the real world, which takes millions of years or thousands of years depending on what it is. But usually it just takes so long. But presumably in Minecraft a lot less time has passed. But then again, like we don't really know this stuff, so it's like I've said a few times before here, it's all just speculation.
And there's not a timeline to this game, right? Like, we don't. There's no timetable to base any of this off of, right?
Yeah, no. We just all we know is that Minecraft Legends comes before Minecraft. Minecraft Dungeons presumably comes before as well, but that's not been confirmed, and there's still some debate there, considering that Minecraft Dungeons has more advanced technology than is seen in the base game. But like, it's most likely considered to be a prequel as well, where it's just like a lot of technology that got forgotten, like with time, just like how you can't craft a horse armor, or maybe you can now.
Yeah. And that's happened in human history. We've talked about that the last time you were on the show when we were talking about archaeology, how about great ancient libraries burning down and entire I mean, entire eras of knowledge being lost, and then we had to relearn it. I mean, that's happened many times in human history where we've had to relearn something that we lost. So I don't know. That's something that we all have to talk about again in another show one day, NightSteak. Maybe
Oh
the
yeah, for sure.
I don't know. There's so much for us to talk about. but I would like to conclude it there. I want to wrap up the show right there this week. I think we covered a lot. I think we fully covered the Nether, especially we hypothesized everything in there. NightSteak, it was a pleasure to have you back on Realm News. You are always extremely knowledgeable, and I know that the audience loves to have you on as much as I. We can find you at x.com/nightsteak9. And is there anywhere else?
Currently, that's all I'm really active on right now. I'm going to be starting up a probably a TikTok and a YouTube soon with short form content, but I'm still like trying to figure the ropes out there right now. So right now, just you can reach out to me on Twitter,
Talk
and
about
I'll
that a
be
little
active
bit.
there.
Like, you're going to be doing some short form content like what kind of stuff are you going to be making?
I'd like to, I know all the obscure Minecraft like lore and stuff like that, but I'm probably more likely going to be covering like Minecraft Online stuff because I feel like there's a lot of like unseen content there. Like there was like empires like with hundreds of people, like impressive stuff from years ago that is like mostly forgotten today. Like even with the people on the server, like they don't even know the history. So I think it'd be cool because a lot of people are interested in this kind of stuff. Like they like seeing the 2b2t history, and I'd like to show off Minecraft Online side of the story because there's some really interesting stuff that's happened in the past.
No, that is super cool. No, keep me up to date when you launch that and start doing that. I actually want to keep up with that.
Thanks, dude. Will do.
No, that's really cool. Um, yeah, thank you so much, NightSteak. I appreciate you having on the show.
Yeah, of course, dude. Yeah, can't wait to be on next time.
Heck yeah, it'll be soon. And I would like to thank you, my audience, for listening to this week's fascinating episode over Minecraft fungi, mushrooms, and the theories around them. Until next time, I wish you all a great rest of your week and happy crafting. NightSteak, you take care, bud. The Dark Lord. Signing out. Hey, Realm News fans, it's your host, the Dark Lord, the one who puts the real in realm and expands your mind one block at a time. I am here to tell you that your support means everything. Spread the word by telling friends, liking, and commenting on Spotify or Good Pods. Find me on X, Blue Sky, Reddit, or via email at bio.link/realm news. For more content, join my Patreon at the Copper, Diamond, and VIP tiers for early episodes, bonus content, and newsletters. Find out more at bio.link/realm news. No pressure, though. Just keep listening, liking, and sharing. That's more than enough. Happy crafting, and see you at the next Realm News.